it's kind of even fitting with the subject that we want to talk about here today, which is the presence of God. And how do we become more aware of it? And are we already aware of it all the time anyways? Or do we need reminders? I was thinking about that. And the thing is, the first thing I was thinking about was my childhood. So it was so amazing to me to see all these kids here this morning. Because I remember two events in my childhood that are very much fitting with this subject, the presence of God. And it's not events that you would usually think of. I remember I must have been around 3 years old, and I grew up for the first 4 years of my life in a small village in Germany, in hilly country, like here. And it was a small village, and we were living a little bit outside of that village in a mill. There was the main estate was a miller, but he had extra space, so we lived in these extra rooms that he had rented out to us, or took us in, because it was like refugee time, and people all over Germany was looking for places to stay because everybody was pretty much displaced after the Second World War. And so we were happy to have this place in this mill. And my dad was always off to work, so I was with my mom. And they took us out to on weekends to the countryside around the village, and there was this creek. It wasn't really a big stream. I cannot even tell you how big it was. To me as a kid, it was not even that big to me as a kid. So that stream, when I was standing at the edge of it, it was shallow, and I was mesmerized by the water running over these colored pebbles that were in the creek bed, and the play of the sunlight, and I could just watch and watch and watch. And I mean, at 3 years old, I knew I was a different entity. I knew I was not the creek, but watching this running water, this glistening running water over these colorful pebbles, it kind of drew me, the water drew me, and I felt like closer and closer and closer, and although I knew I was a different person, I kind of also knew that there was this unity, me and the creek, that was one. And when I think of the presence of God nowadays, I always think of it, if I feel this unity, then I know God is there. If I feel this unity with nature, God is there. And the other experience is a little different. My mom took me out into the hillsides, and not necessarily for like a pleasureful outing, but because there was not a lot of food, she was actually searching around the hillside for something to eat. And it all looked like green leaves to me on the ground, like green leaves, flowers, green leaves, and trees above, and green leaves on the ground. And she was like searching around with her fingers, and all of a sudden, this bright red berry was in her hand. And I like, oh, that's magic. Where is she getting this berry from? It was a strawberry. There were wild strawberries in the hills, and she picked them, and we ate them, and they were delicious. And I was just in awe how something so bright and delicious and red could be like under this green canopy of leaves. And it was like, as I said, it was like magic to me. It was like my heart kind of did a leap whenever she pulled her hand and opened it, and there was another red berry in it, as if my heart kind of did a little flutter each time that happened. And so even today, if I have experiences when my heart gives me a little leap about when I hear something or see something or something unexpected, or it, for me, this also became like a sign of the presence of God. This type of unexpected joy that is suddenly there, and something on the outside triggered it, or even something on the inside, some thought. So that was the presence of God to me as a kid. And then I have to say, for many years, for a lot of time, I didn't experience anything like that anymore. It was like school, and then, I don't know, later on work and everyday life. And well, I wouldn't say that there weren't like glimpses here and there, that this joy or this kind of unity feeling came over me again. It was there in little glimpses, but the most lasting and enduring impression for me with the presence of God was if I experienced it for 14 days straight. And I don't even know how to describe it, but it was from the first time I was on a vacation and set foot into Sunburst, to the moment after the 14 days vacation was over and I had to leave again. Those 14 days, they were full of the presence of God. And it wasn't anything like unusual or outrageous that happened, not at all. It was everyday life. From the moment you fell asleep and all your last glimpse in the sleeping bag was up into the stars, and then you fell asleep. Or the moment you woke up and you saw the dewdrops on your sleeping bag. this feeling that 200 people, or I don't know how many it was by that time, streamed in the morning dawn into a meditation area and sat down quietly to dedicate all the actions of the day to God. That they all got up and did that. And then to harvest cucumbers, or to clean the kitchen floor after you were done, or scrape paint off houses and you knew somebody will live in there. It will be freshly painted even when you're gone, and somebody will live in there and have housing. Or the power of the wind in the sails of a big sailing schooner on the ocean, when no more motor is on, and it's only the power of the wind that pushes the boat. Or to feel your body do like Aikido movements that feel harmonious and good, and you can do it, and you feel ready for it, and you move in ways that you haven't moved before. I remember thousands of details, and they are all normal, everyday life things. To see kids playing in the creek, having only one tricycle, and there was absolutely no fight. They all took turns, were patient, each one was satisfied. The first evening I sat down at Sunburst for the evening meditation. People sang this song, and I burst into tears because the song was exactly expressing what my soul was feeling. And the song was going something like, Father, you are melting us all into one. Bright, shining, blazing sun. And we all had the blues much too long. And we are all coming home back to you. And I have to say, even now, after all these years, and living here at Sunburst for all these years, the other day, when I just walked on an errand between the lodge and the office, I heard this owl hooting from the hills. And this hooting owl reminded me of that first vacation at Sunburst, when the owls in the early morning, when we were gathering for meditation, you heard the owls hooting in the hills, and all these memories stream back, even today when I hear an owl hoot. All these memories and all this, it becomes now, even now, like a strong reminder of every minute that you live, every chore that you do, every moment of your life, God is there. God gives clues of being there. You just have to be open enough that God from the spirit world is shining a light on your everyday life. And then these clues will pop up into your consciousness. You will suddenly become aware what messages the divine is sending you. Just living your life. You just have to be aware that what you do has a purpose. That whatever you do and whatever you say has a purpose in the divine plan. That there is this big divine plan. And your everyday activities, if they fit in unity with this divine plan for this earth, the presence of God is right there. And the joy in you that you are part of that plan is right there. So when we go into silence now, and sit straight and breathe calmly and let worries like fall away. And let our desire arise that we become more and more aware for the presence of God in our lives. That things that we might brush to the wayside might become helping points. That we arrive closer to this unity of having God in our life in every minute. The gongs will lead us into the quiet time. I wonder, when you come gently out of your quiet time now, I wonder if you were able to empty your mind enough that these glimpses of the presence of God in your own life could pop up into your memory. I hope you cherish them. I don't think they are there just for the joy of it and for feeling the unity. I think they are also there, very consciously put there by our divine parents for us to help us grow. And later on, when we walk out of here, I'm curious if any of you would like to share some of those presence of God memories with somebody else or with me later on, while we are at the lodge and having our refreshments and social time. But to close this meditation today here, I have a quote that I really, really love, and it is really, really fitting. It goes, because spirit is on the move, constantly creating your life from the invisible source of all life, you must be alert every moment to understand its ways. Sometimes clues hit like a bolt from the blue. Sometimes they cross your path as silently as a cat stalking in the pre-dawn light. Sometimes they smile and deliver a shiver of bliss. The great joy of being aware of God in your life is that the whole world comes alive. Nothing is dead or inert anymore, because the least thing can serve as a clue to the great search for who you really are. This is what makes life rich, that it has more to offer with each clue it reveals. And this is the end of my time with this presence of God subject. And as I said, we could go on with it later if we have thoughts about it.
And the one you long for is on the way. And the one you long for is on the way. Prepare your earth, keep watch your sky. It's a cloud by day, it's a star by night. Heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way. It'll come to us in a flash of fire and settle in like gentle rain, and finer still, a soothing mist of understanding and sacredness, illumination. I knew you'd come. Heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way, heaven is on the way. Oh, through my open door, another sky and another shore, and walking there is running free, and running there is flying. Heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing. When you sight the pole star that guides your life, and you live your days to exemplify and demonstrate the life to be, heaven is all we'll see, heaven is all we'll see, heaven is all we'll see, heaven is all we'll see. Oh, through my open door, another sky and another shore, and walking there is running free, and running there is flying. Heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing, heaven is on the wing. And the one you long for is on the way, and the one you long for is on the way. Prepare your earth, keep watch your sky. It's a cloud by day, it's a star by